Hello everyone and welcome back here to Musicians Edition. My name is Evan, as always on the piano here. And in this video we're continuing our talk about working with those little ones, getting those 3 to 5 year olds started on the piano. In my last video I went over some simple songs that we can use to get them started on the piano. And this video is more about the session structure and how we can build up their skills on the piano at this age. So let's go ahead and get into that. Biggest thing at this age we're going to struggle with is those motor skills and them being able to sit at the piano for long periods of time. So with those motor skills, we have to assess, can they play with individual fingers? Can they just do a couple fingers? Maybe their pointers and their thumbs are really strong, or do we have to go with that chicken beak approach, which we'll talk about a bit later? So we can assess those things, and we'll talk about that a bit in this video. And then also for sitting at the piano, we want to see how long are they able to do it before I have to push them to stay. We want to kind of see what that baseline is at. How long can they stay and participate with me before they tell me or show me that they're ready to go? And those are the two things that we want to make sure we can build up and see what we can work with here. So for sitting at the piano, I need to figure out that baseline with my child here. So I need to see across the first few times I ask them to come and play with me, how long is it before they show me or tell me that they are ready to get up and go? And for the first 3 to 5 times where I'm at the piano with the child, as soon as they tell me, I'm going to let them go. I don't want to start off piano as being something that's going to be aversive. It's a chore, something that I'm forcing them to stay at. I want it to be freely. They can come and go as they please when they're first starting off here. And then as they get used to that, we've done that a handful of times, then I can start to say, okay, once you tell me or show me, I'm going to say, stay 30 seconds longer, do this one more thing with me, and then you're free to go. So they can get used to doing a little bit more past that point where they're saying they're ready to go. So a little bit more work after that, and then once we get used to that here, we can start having a timer for our piano sessions. So I can maybe say, I want you to sit with me for 5 minutes today, 10 minutes today, based on wherever we're at with them right now. And that's something I can build up over time. And so at each level, I want them to get comfortable with that, let's say 5 minutes at the piano before I'm going to increase it to 6 or 7. Once they get comfortable with that over a few times sitting with me, then I'll go ahead and increase once it seems like they're ready for it. Or on the flip side, we can work with a visual schedule of tasks. That's something I've done with kids as well too. So what activities are we going to do at the piano? The timer might not be the best option for someone who's going to play around and just kind of wait out that clock. So you might want to have a set of activities you guys are going to do together at the piano as opposed to that timer for some kids. And that's something I can work up over time. Maybe it's just 2 things at the piano. We're going to do exercises, we're going to do 1 song, and then you're free to go. They get used to that, let's increase it to 3 and then 4 slowly over time as we can build them up. And they're both ways, the timer and the schedules, to build up their tolerance of sitting at the piano and having a bit of structure there. So to test motor skills first, I can have them play with each individual finger one at a time. And kids usually like this one actually because I tell them they can play however they want, and I just tell them, let's just dance around with these fingers like this. However they want to do it, I don't really care. All I'm testing is to see if they can do it. I'm not critiquing technique at all here. So something like this, show me your thumbs. Let's dance around with those thumbs. Perfect. Show me those index fingers. Show me them dancing. Show me those middle fingers. Show me the ring finger. And lastly, show me those pinkies just dancing around. And the hardest one here is usually that ring finger. A lot of kids will have it just attached to that pinky. Whatever works, as long as they can still play with each of them like that, that's a pretty great skill to make sure that they can have. Then I can check to see if they can play each finger right in a row. And typically when I ask the older ones to do this, I'll say, okay, keep all your fingers nicely on the keys in between. But for these little ones, they can just kind of do their own thing. Okay, I want to see the thumb. I want to see the index. I want to see the middle, ring, pinky. And I'm not so picky about them, playing the notes right in a row, but just seeing if they can play with each finger somewhere on the piano, kind of like that. Sometimes they'll mix and they'll skip, or they'll play the same with different fingers. Doesn't matter. I'm just testing to see, can they do it with both hands, each finger just playing by itself. So if they can do both of those, fantastic. If they cannot play individual fingers, then I know I can at least have them do the chicken beak for now, which it's not going to be the best with my big hand here, but they can usually focus on one note, just kind of making that beak, or you can have them even just do thumb and index there, and they can just play one note at a time. We can still play out songs like this. I can still have them play Hot Cross Buns up here, whatever it is, we can get them started with that, and then maybe I'll start to build up playing that thumb by itself, playing that index by itself, those stronger fingers first. If they are ready for those individual fingers, and when they are, I definitely encourage soft playing in those curved fingers by modeling that for them. And then that's where I'll get into the technique. Once I do know that they can play with each of those fingers well, we'll start to work on that soft playing, those curved fingers. I can have them practice playing soft versus hard, or soft, medium, and hard if they're ready for that as well too. Now let's talk about session structure. I will always start the kids off with free play time. Some kids, it might just be hard to bring them to the piano, so I don't want to start with demands. I just want them to come to the piano, play around however they want. I'll tell them, go ahead and play, or I'll ask if there's anything they want to show me, and I let them get that out of their system before placing any demands. I'm going to hype them up pretty much whatever they do here. I can also play some chords on the low side of the piano and give them time to play whatever they want up higher and matching along with me. I don't care how well it matches, really. Just this is their free time to get a little piano out of their system and have a little fun here. So I can play. And just let them do their thing there, whatever comes to mind for them. Then we're going to get into some of our non-preferred tasks here. So if you are going to go ahead with that visual schedule, you can have them pick the order of these tasks, giving them choices like even without the schedule, I'll tell them verbally, this is what we're going to do. What do you want to do first? This is going to give them a bit more of a sense of control over the piano here, and they're non-preferred. It doesn't matter to me what order they do them in, so they can pick what order we do these in, and I'll check in with them throughout each of these. Are you done with this one? Do you want more time with this one? Are you ready to go to the next? And they can tell me like that as well too. What I'm going to do here is note names, 2s and 3s, and some finger practice. So for note names, I will definitely skip this for the first couple lessons at least. If kids do know their ABCs, you can put stickers on the piano keys for them just to count from low to high. I've had kids go A through G, just kind of going up, and the kids who know their ABCs actually enjoy that and kind of showing off to you that they know them. Just make sure they get used to after G, it's going to go back to A, so correct them if they do say H there. For kids who do not know the ABCs, I've used a picture of animals to represent each letter as well. And you can see it up on the screen here. My little ones do get a kick out of this. C is for cat, D is for dog. What comes next? Oh, that's the elephant. And we kind of match that up with our piano with their actual keys there. Then after notes, I highlight the 2s and 3s of the black keys on the piano. This is something I can do early on. So I usually introduce this before the note names. Just having them play across in 2s first by saying, look at the piano, there's black keys, there's 2s, then there's 3s, then 2s, then 3s. So can you play all the 2s for me like this? And I'll go ahead and play it myself, ask them to do the same thing. Depending on where they're at, it might be 2 chickens, it might be 2 index fingers, or you could have them do 2 fingers of the same hand if they're there and ready for it. And then after that, it's play all the 3s. So now look at the groups of 3s. We're going to play 3s, 3s, 3s. I want them to find all of them for me and play those 3s, whichever way that they are able to do it. And for the kids, after they get used to that, after a few times, if they can start to do 2 hands at once, I'll definitely encourage that. Both the left and the right each find their own set of 2s. Can you do that? Perfect. And then same thing with the 3s. Each set of hand will find their own set of 3s. Perfect. And this is just going to help them see the pattern in the keys. And so I pair this with the note names to see, okay, this is the repeated section, the 2s and 3s, and then look, copy and paste another 2 and 3, another 2 and 3. C through B just gets pasted up here, and they can get used to seeing the pattern in the keys like that. Then the last potentially non-preferred task is some basic finger exercises, but I do have tips to make this one pretty fun and easier to get through. It does depend on their level what you're going to do here. One I like to do, because it's something I can start off pretty easy and just keep making harder, is called the spider. And depending on their level, I'll modify this, but what we do is we're going to put the 2 thumbs together, and I'll put it right in the middle here, just on one note. And so with their smaller fingers, it's a bit easier to do this than it is for me. Put those 2 thumbs on one note. We're going to press that down. That's going to be its head. And look, you have 8 fingers here. That's going to be the 8 legs of our spider. But we'll start with those thumbs. Can you push the head down? Just press your thumbs down. Great. And now look at those first legs. Can we play one of those legs right here? Oh, perfect. There it is. Let's play the other leg on this side. Boom, there it is. We got both legs playing. And then I can try to push them with those middle fingers. Play your next set of legs. Play the next set of legs there. And if it's their first time doing it, I'll probably just stop there, because these next fingers are going to be the weakest. If they are ready for it, then we're going to go ahead and go all the way through to that ring finger, to the pinky finger as well too. And it's up to you and their level of how picky you're going to be about having one finger for each note, or with their tiny fingers, if they can't bring them out that far, you can have them double up as well too if that's easier for them. All right, eventually what we want this to look like is, but we'll take our time getting through that, of course. And yeah, you know, kids usually like spiders. You can make this one playful, sing Itsy Bitsy, do the whole spider dance, then put that back on the piano. Just make sure they keep those thumbs together for the head and they get the idea that all those are the legs. There's always some great fun ways you can do that one. All right, as they get used to playing each individual fingers there, what I'm gonna start to ask them is, show me how strong your fingers are, and let's play them one at a time like this. Nice and strong. We use one on each note. Great, and I'm gonna hype them up as long as they're able to do that, at least with a few of their fingers. And I'm just always going crazy with praise, hyping them up, because this is the biggest thing I want them to really work on. I want them to come back and show off to me how big, how strong those fingers are getting, because that's what's going to make them a great player at the piano. So I have a little girl who's always excited to show me and her mom how much better she's getting at separating those fingers and spacing them out over all the notes, because me and her mom really hype her up over that. So that works really well. Once they're able to play that hand out, you know, I can work on both hands together. Let's separate and just play each finger together, or I can have them both go, let's play left to right with each hand as well too. As they get better and better, of course, you're always just starting it off easy, make it achievable so that they can get through it. You can give them praise for it and then slowly increase those expectations. Once they can do it all in a row, I'll start to do skips. So thumb, middle, pinky. Can you do index to your ring? Can you just do pinky or thumb to pinky, thumb to the different fingers, and we can do skips like that as well too, instead of just going in that straight line. So we got those exercises, those introductory skill tasks out of the way now, and now we can just go ahead and make sure we can focus on songs, which is supposed to be the funnest part, but for some kids this can still be a little bit difficult because songs can be hard to learn how to play, especially at this age. So you have to kind of figure out their learning style, what's going to work best for them. And we'll talk a bit more about teaching procedures towards the end of this video as well too. But as far as songs go, ones to get them started off with, I did put up a video on that recently, so make sure you go ahead and check that one out. 2-note melodies, playing around with just 2 black keys next to each other is an easy one to get started with. Mary Had a Little Lamb, Hot Cross Buns, maybe eventually working up to Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Those little songs that they know that we can introduce them to are great. Even if they don't know them, it's great to just find fun little videos of them out there. Not all the kids I start off with know Hot Cross Buns, but I know it's a song that I'm going to do with most kids. So there's really fun videos of it out there on YouTube of, you know, these little music videos with characters acting out this thing, and it gets them familiar and really into the song and then more motivated to play it later on with me. And then after songs, I make sure I just leave time for a fun video that we can do with the kids. It's going to be different for each kid, and I don't typically associate demands with this. I just try to find some kind of a musical video we can kind of bond and sing along together with, just being a bit fun for us. And so that's often a nice motivator I use to get through some of the harder parts of the lesson. Remember, we get through this, we're going to get our video together, and then after that, you're free to go and go ahead and play. So these videos can be individualized. I have one right now who just loves hearing these chickens sing the months of the year. I have another one who loves ABCs being some of these cartoon characters. Whatever it is, a 2 to 3 minute video, I'm fine with letting them just sit it out. If they choose to just get up and leave in the middle of it, they're more than welcome to, since that's the last thing we had to do anyway. If you want to, you can also have them practice rhythm with these videos. It just kind of depends on how that lesson went. If it was tough, I'm just going to leave them alone at the end here. If I think they can do it, maybe we'll just practice clapping it out for a little part of that video, clap along, staying on beat with that video. I'll model along with them. Maybe sometimes I'll grab their hands and help them stay on beat if they are really struggling with it too. But otherwise, this is just our fun time, easy going, so we can finish off that lesson with something that I can have them looking forward to. And that is all for the tasks. I'm going to finish with some tips. Let's talk a little bit about teaching procedures, as well as some additional tips to work with here. And then let's wrap up with just looking at that whole session structure all together here. As far as teaching procedures go, we got to remember to keep things light. We want them to be as fun. We want to be goofy, meet them down at their level so we can keep their attention. I'm bringing out lots of praise when they do the good things. So my positive attention becomes a reinforcer for them that they want to work for. And for me, as far as teaching new skills for them, I do work in the field of ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis. So I'm very familiar with what's called the prompting hierarchy, which is levels of prompts that I can work them through as they start off learning a new skill to be able to do it independently by themselves, which is the end goal with everything on the piano. So I apply that at the piano pretty frequently. We're all teach skills by going through these different prompt levels. And so I can explain that really quickly. For really tough things, if it's something new, a brand new song, I want to make it as easy as possible. And so I gotta see what they're able to do by themselves and meet them there. For really tough things, I can start them off with just a physical prompt. Here, I'm gonna grab your hand. I'm gonna show you exactly what I want you to play, just to make it really easy, as long as they're compliant with me holding their hand. Some kids aren't as friendly with that, so that's individualized for each kid. So let's just do this thing together to get you confident with it. Let's start off with that hot cross buns, playing it with that hand over hand, just to get used to it. You can match it up with the song, this video that we just played, just so they can get a bit of confidence in themselves there. And then I want to fade that out to just using gestures by pointing. So I'm no longer going to touch their hand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hand up here and point along with them for where they should put theirs. So hot, cross, buns, come back up here, hot, cross, buns. And I'm just pointing along with them so they can see where I want them to play. As they get better with that, I can even maybe I'll just point to the first key and then they can do the rest. I want to fade away from doing every single one to maybe just pointing at some of them and letting them do the parts that they're more comfortable with. And then after that, I can just do modeling. Look, I'm going to play hot cross buns. Now your turn. We can try modeling, so my finger's not there pointing along for them. It's kind of working on their memory and following along with what I do, which is a great skill for them to have. And eventually I can just do it verbally, without pointing, without showing, without touching. I can just tell them, hot cross buns. Remember, we're going to play right. Without the pointing, we're going to play right, middle, left. Remember, you're going to play right, middle, left. Just telling them now. And then eventually it's just play me hot cross buns. And they're able to do it. So you don't need to go through all those steps. I do check-ins pretty frequently. I can do that across a single lesson where maybe I start them off with pointing, I point less, and then I just tell them verbally, and maybe we can do it across one lesson. Maybe it's going to take quite a few to get there. It really depends on how quick of a learner your child is going to be with that. But always try to meet them at their level. Do not let them get frustrated. If you see that coming in, make sure you increase the prompts and help that you're giving them, because we want these songs to be fun and not really difficult to get through. So I always break apart songs into small pieces as well too, instead of doing that whole song at once. Let's get this first little section, these first few notes down, and then if you're ready, if you want to do more, I'll ask you, and if you say yes, we'll do it. If not, let's jump over to another song and we'll tackle these bit by bit here. Next tip is to make sure we are just always having fun at the piano. Not everything is about work, building up their skills. We've got to make sure there's always fun time, and there's always got to be reinforcement for them to be encouraged to come back to that piano and see it as a positive experience. And so for me, I always make sure I have that video at the end. We can sing along, we can have fun, and my kids really do look forward to that. I've also had additional reinforcers in my lessons as well too. Sometimes it's offering stickers, as well as just making sure I always bring that energy with the kids. I'm using sound effects throughout. I'm pretty much just bringing myself down to their level and just having fun with them at the piano. And that's pairing myself, making myself a reinforcer so they look forward to me coming in the door and sitting down with them, because they know that we're going to have fun together. They're going to walk away with some stickers. They're going to feel good about themselves. And that's the kind of positive experience I want to associate with the piano. Lastly, try to make this a part of their daily routine, or at least setting a time aside for this at least a few days a week, because if you have the breaks or if you just spring it upon them that they're going to come over and play the piano, it's going to be a bit more difficult then. So having that specific time of day that you want to associate with a few minutes on the piano, maybe it's right after dinner, we're going to go ahead and play some piano. Maybe it's before they go to bed, when they come home from school. Whatever it is, pick that time where you can bring them over, set a few minutes aside to go ahead and play with them, and then they're free to go after that. And so that's something they can come to expect with each day, or if it's the weekends, even if they're too busy during the week, you can have it always be that Saturday and Sunday, specific times of the day where they're going to go ahead and come and play on that piano. And I think that's it for me. So let's just wrap up what our session structure here was. So for me, it's always starting off with free play, either by themselves, they get to show me stuff and I hype them up, or I'm playing something, they play along with me. We start off with that free play. Just so I'm not placing demands right at the beginning. I want them to have fun when they first come over. And then I usually will touch on note names, and then we'll go ahead with the 2s and the 3s, getting the pattern of those black keys. Some finger exercises, the spiders, the biggest one I talked about today that we can still make pretty fun. And then we're going into those songs, and then I finish with that fun video at the end there. And that is it for our session structure, and that's something I do build up over time. So those first few times at the piano, I'm probably going to cut out those note names. I'm probably going to cut out the exercises and just focus on let's just get over here, let's play some songs. Maybe we'll do those 2s and 3s. Maybe we'll practice just reading the ABCs if my kid is really into the ABCs and singing those ABC songs. Kind of depends on their interest. And I'm adding in those more non-preferred things over time as they get more used to the piano, sitting down with me, following instructions with me, and then I'll start to add in some of those more non-preferred things. And that is it for this one. So I hope you and your little ones will find this useful. Hope you both have fun playing, and we'll see you next time.